Welcome everyone, I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and now that all of the film has been watched and all of the grades are in, it's time for the Football Game Plan Scouting 2018 NFL Draft Prospect Preview. Before we get started with our prospect rankings, here's how we gather our grades and what they actually mean. First, we watch a minimum of 3 full games on a player, a prospect's best game, his worst game, and the best or intriguing matchup. And second, we grade on 15 key points specific to the position to equal 100 points in total. Now, here's what the grades that you'll see by a prospect's name will actually mean. Prospects that earned grades in the 90s graded out as future NFL All-Pros. Prospects in the 80s are considered future Pro Bowl players. Grades in the 70s represent solid NFL starters, and grades in the 60s are players that we believe are spot starters in the NFL. And if you notice, we don't use the word reserve or backups because we personally feel as though that there are no such thing as backups in the NFL, only starters in waiting. So without further ado, let's kick off our prospect rankings by taking a look at our top 10.
Mike Hughes of UCF graded out as my top corner in this draft class. Now, this year I've graded and ranked these guys by best fit. So the letters you see by their film grade is where I think they're best suited to play in the NFL. F is for field corner, that's the wide side of the field. Boundary, B is for boundary, which is the short side of the field, and S is for slot, which are those guys that play inside the hashes. So back to Hughes, I think he can play all 3 spots equally as effective, and his film was by far the most complete from a coverage, technical, and tackling standpoint. He put together an impressive season this year for the Knights and can match up against any receiver, and also brings great ball skills to the table. Looking at the rest of the top 10, and Jaire Alexander of Louisville is just as good of a player as Hughes, and I love the attitude in which he plays with at that position. Dante Jackson of LSU has the best speed and burst of this class, which always keeps him locked in on his receiver. If he can just become a bit more consistent of a catcher, he will definitely have double-digit interceptions as a pro. Carlton Davis of Auburn and Nick Nelson of Wisconsin are very polished players that don't panic out there in coverage and have great spatial awareness. Malik Reeves of Villanova and Danny Johnson of Southern are excellent matchup corners with ball skills. They don't miss an opportunity to pick up a pass, which is exactly what you want to see in a defensive back. Division III prospect Michael Joseph of Dubuque had an up and down week at the Senior Bowl, but when you go back and watch his tape, you get a better scope of his game and where he could succeed as a pro. I think he has fantastic skills as a slot corner that can match up inside against bigger or smaller wide receivers. He's also very good in zone and has the ball skills that you look for. Prospects 11 through 20 feature a heavy amount of players that graded out as boundary corners. MJ Stewart of North Carolina has very good press skills and doesn't waste time snapping out of his breaks to drive on a football. Josh Jackson of Iowa has some outstanding hands, making some of the more spectacular interceptions on the field this season for the Hawkeyes. I think his ability to excel in the short area zones make him a very good fit to play inside. I also feel like Brandon Faison of Virginia Tech's game is being criminally underrated as well. Blaze Taylor of Arkansas State is a dynamic returner that can have an immediate impact on special teams. I think in the slot, he's ideally what you want in a player. He's a guy with tremendous quicks that can consistently make plays on the ball. So don't let the size fool you. The Campbell Trophy finalist is smart and also brings big-time game to the table. Here are prospects 21 through 30. Travarius Ward of Middle Tennessee State, very well coached player out that program, has solid game in both press and off coverage, but I like his ability inside as a slot. Kevin Tolliver of LSU is an interesting player. He has all of the requisite physical tools that you want, and I think he'll be a strong boundary corner for a team, but ball skills are where you like to see him become a bit better. He has to be able to turn and locate the football, otherwise he'll end up as a penalty machine as a pro. Chris Jones of Nebraska is another player with intriguing skills. I like his athleticism, and I think he'll be able to get back to what we saw a few seasons ago health-wise, and you'll see him just make significant leaps as a pro. With prospects 31 through 40, you see more field corners in this group. Western Illinois' Tyron Holloway transferred from Liberty, where he balled out there and did the same thing this past season for the Leathernecks. His ability to turn and run with anyone was highly impressive on tape. Javon Elmore of Central Connecticut State is an excellent matchup prospect that has very good press skills and is also solid in run support. Marcellus Pippins of Washington State is a sleeper in this great class of cornerbacks. He's coming off of a strong career out there in Pullman and off of a stellar week down in Daytona Beach at the Tropical Bowl. He has terrific instincts and isn't afraid to challenge a receiver inside the green zone. And Pippins is one of the more fearless prospects here on this list. Arian Springs out of Oregon and Parry Nickerson of Tulane have good all-around games. Jamarcus King of South Carolina had an inconsistent week at the Senior Bowl, but his game film showed a player that has great athleticism, strong zone skills, and explosive burst to the football. Simeon Thomas of Louisiana is a name to get to know. He's a long corner that plays with length and uses that length to then shrink passing windows. When he's on his game, he's one of the best. Now, consistency is going to be a key for him moving forward. Demontre Wade still has a lot of upside left in his game, in my opinion. He's a former running back that's still mastering the nuances of playing the position. He came into Murray State as a tailback and made the move as a freshman. He got better each and every year, so much so that he earned a spot to the Senior Bowl down there in Mobile. Mike Jones of Temple started his career at North Carolina Central before grad transferring to Temple this past season. He's a great special teamer and has very underrated ball skills. And rounding out this list with prospects 61 through 65, J.J. Dallas of UL Monroe was an early entry in the draft, and he's coming off of an injury this season, but in the minimal games he played this year for the Warhawks, he's a guy that can see things develop and quickly get in the way to make a play.
So that's a wrap for our 2018 FBGP Scouting Draft Prospect Preview. To see more of our individual scouting reports, follow us on Twitter at FBGP Scouting and bookmark the page footballgameplan.com/FBGP Scouting. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/footballgameplan, where you can get all of our scouting videos, mock drafts, and NFL draft prospect videos. And one more thing, subscribe to us on iTunes under Football Game Plan Podcast, where you can find the Scout Team Podcast, where we interview multiple NFL draft prospects.